Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How y'all doing tonight? I've got quite a bit to talk about tonight. Even though my last broadcast is not available right now, uh, I'll talk about that here in a minute. When, not if, is where I got my thumbnail and devastating blows and updates. So, what does all that mean? It means a lot, and a lot's going to be happening. So let me see who's in the chats here. Hi, John. Hi, Ronald. Nikki, how you doing? 922. I was close. I got there kind of quick, as quick as I could. B Dog, Bubba. Let's see. Everybody's probably reading. Hi, Mike. Hi, Brighter Day. Kathy. Everybody's filing in. That's good. Michelle. Well, last night's broadcast got taken down, and had to do a little editing to it. So I just put it on Bumble. It's on Bumble, and it's not on the tube. Okay, you tizzle. It's not on there anymore. So, like I said, you got to be careful. I got to be careful. But anyway, the big guy has rent receipts. He's got to come up with. I saw a post by Mr. T on Truth, and then the word social. It said that there's an article out. He didn't put his $50,000 a month he was getting from Hunter on his tax returns. So we all know that is another money laundering method. You just claim it as rent. How much was Hunter getting from Ukraine? Ukraine was 80 grand a month, right? So he's supposed to give Dad, I don't know if it was 50%, 10% off the top went to the big guy. But anyway, I was talking with my friends in Brazil, and they're noticing quite a bit of stuff we notice. They have their ear to the ground quite a bit, especially about the 17th letter. And the feeling there is among some circles that other than the people resisting in a passive way, the only thing that's going to help is intervention from the United States. And they said that a lot of eyebrows went up, even skeptics, when Trump made that statement that he was no 5x5, Michelle says. Wait a second, what's going on? No 5x5. Okay. All right, see 5x5 from Georgia. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Debbie. So anyway, when Trump came out and made that statement, even though they don't have access to Truth, that platform, they get on Twitter somehow. They got to pay for it or whatever, but they don't have access to the other one. They're still getting to see those videos. And when Trump came out and said he was going to hit the cartels and their leadership, devastating blows. Right away, the Brazilian people knew what that meant, because you name a country around Brazil, I've been down the list with them: Argentina, Chile, all these countries that have offered military aid to the Luluzer junta. They're all narco states. They're all narco states run by the cartels. And everybody had the feeling that Trump was speaking in a very presidential manner. And I'm going to take some notes next time I talk to them. I'm hoping to have a young fellow as a guest so we can discuss this stuff and you all can ask him questions. I'll keep you posted on that if I'm still around. Hi, Brian. Hi, Doc Ghost. Hi, everybody coming in. So, what else did Trump put the military in charge of? Human rights abuses, human trafficking, exploitation. Okay, and what are the cartels known for? So when he did his PEADS, PEADS, I'm sure he put something in there concerning certain organizations being designated uh, as illegal. And the word TERROR, that gets looked at, so I spell it out. Please don't put it in the chats. It's funny how I'll spell something out not to get in trouble, and then boom, it's right there in the chats, as big as life. I'm not doing that to test people or who see who can get the answer first. I'm doing it so it doesn't show up in the stream. Hi, Finding Dory. If I missed anybody, forgive me. Hi, Wanda. Sharon, how you doing? Lucy. So, if Trump did designate them as that type of a group, which I'm sure he did, and a lot of their activity falls under the purview of the military, Trump is talking in a very decisive way. He's talking in a presidential manner. That's what I was hearing from the people who were involved in this Brazil talk. So you have all these millions of people. There's 200 million Brazilians, 200 million. You know how many of them have firearms? They have firearms. They're registered. They have to register them. And I'll take a wild guess. Out of 200 million people, how many people have firearms? And they're all registered, and their registrations were suspended by the loser government. Hi, Reba. Hey, Bubba. I'm seeing if I see a number. What percentage? Put it in a percentage of the people who have firearms in that country. Out of 200 million. So I'm seeing if everybody's taking a stab in the dark. But anyway, while people are cogitating on that, I'm going to take a wild guess. We're having stuff come out. You know, if you look at it, we never would have had put out publicly. A lot of us would have known privately because we've been paying attention to influence operations. A certain website that has a Department of Defense IP address, okay? And so we know the stuff, but it wouldn't be getting out on the nightly news, which is starting to come out, if we hadn't had to go through this situation of Trump going to Mar-a-Lago and the big guy being sworn in. None of this stuff would have come to light. And now we've got all assets deployed. Hi, Greg. How you doing? All assets deployed means everybody that is trying to preserve and works for the DS, the deep, and we say state, is coming out of the woodwork to defend this structure. Or they're being told they better get out there to defend it because they got something hanging over them, or they're been bribed, or who knows, you can extort people, bribe people, whatever. So if Trump had made a move and everything would have happened back on J20, all these roaches would be in the woodwork, and you wouldn't have you'd have a lot less evidence against them. You'd get a lot of them, but we need to get all of them. What's the saying? Who walks away from this? Nobody walks away from this. So they got to come out to defend their system. And they're losing flunkies. Usually they shove a flunky out front and let the flunky take a beating. But you look at the media, CNN, how many of their flunkies have gone? Brian Stelter's one of them. Now, he said months ago that Hunter was in jeopardy of being arrested at any time over what? Over his taxes. Now, we all know that they got to turn their taxes in now. They made Trump do it. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. And you know that Hunter wouldn't be under that type of investigation or threat of arrest if somebody hadn't already gone over his taxes. So he had been declaring 49,000. I can't remember the exact number. It's some screwy number like $49,710 was what he was claiming as rent. Okay. Now, of course, if he claimed part of that property as home office, he could say, oh, I use half the house as my home office for my international business dealings with Ukraine and gas companies all around the world. So I can write off my rent. Okay, well, who do you pay your rent to? The big guy, my dad. Oh, let's take a look at Joe's taxes. Oh, he didn't write that down as income? Oh, my. So we got a big problem here. Of course, when you think you're going to be the big guy and nobody's going to question you and you're in control of everything, why would you write it down? And when you're like Maxine Waters and you're like Nancy Pelosi and you think you'll always be untouchable, why would you report stuff? You just end up with 3 houses. One of them's worth $3.3 million. And you're on $60,000 payment for your services, I guess, as a representative in the House. So how do you get all that stuff? Yeah, $600,000 a year rent. That's right, B-Dog. I'm gonna put that up. To put it in a little perspective. Now, how many years did he not report that? Hi, Michael. How you doing? How many years did he not report that? Hi, Renee. Better yet, how many decades did he not report it? And boy, I would have to say it sure seems like a setup. You know, Trump was just dragging them out with that. We got to get his taxes. We got to get his taxes. And you have all these entities employed in trying to stop Trump that they don't stop and think, wait a minute, who's the rope? You putting that rope around whose neck? You know, you're putting it around my neck because now I got to report my taxes. So what's her name? Peekaboo. She's going to have to think twice. Now, I think they said that the Trump organization had to pay some fines or some kind of BS. And I got to find a little more about that. BCP said something about that. But that is that judge who can't stand Trump or never could stand Trump. So on top of all this business of all these politicians and representatives that have got to start turning in taxes now, if there's suspicion, reasonable suspicion like they did with Trump, you got all these judges and corresponding prosecutors that are showing their cards, and we never would have flushed them out if we hadn't gone through the inauguration. If we'd have just had the military come in and arrest the surface level bad guys, uh, which is unrealistic. Kind of like the Brunson case. What should happen and does happen is two different things. Brunson's on at a black letter of the law. They were right that they abrogated their responsibility under the Constitution, but you just can't decapitate the entire government. You can't come in like people were wanting Trump to do and arrest all these people without significant upheaval, okay, and potential loss of life, damage to property, civil unrest, and nobody ever quieting their mind down enough to learn the story. Now it's all being played out in front of them like what? Like a movie. And I noticed one thing. Mr. T posted a guy, I can't think of his name, but he posted a thing on TS that said, "Time to roll the credits." And it just seemed like an average dude that put it up. And Trump retruthed it. Time to roll the credits. So I don't know. I know why I got taken down yesterday was supposedly for a copyright strike. But I also had a picture of Jill and Joe, back when Jill was 16 and Joe was sitting on his lap, or she was sitting on Joe's lap and all that. So, okay, I went ahead and cured their claim, which took out, well, I won't say, because it's no point in putting this video in jeopardy. But anyway, I thought better of it and just leave it down, and it's up on Bumble, okay, from the one from last night. Let me see what's going on. Melinda says, what would happen if the potato and his cohorts signed docs and tried to make law that could be overturned? Well, they can't make law. That's Congress makes laws. Has to go through the House and then up to the Senate and then back down to the House and then signed by the president. Hi, Donna. How are you doing? So, anyways, if y'all want to go over last night's video, I had it in my phone in its entirety, and I just manually uploaded it to Rumble. Otherwise, I could have got up earlier tonight. But I don't want to leave a butchered up piece of a video that might they find another reason to look at it. And okay, I've got a prediction. Ronald said roughly 20%. Thank you, Ronald. I forgot all about my trivia question. Out of the 200 million people in Brazil, what percentage of them, and they have firearms, they're not outlawed, people have licenses, but what percentage of them have firearms? And I got one guess from Ronald, 20%. And I'm scanning it because I may have been talking and missed it, but did anybody else venture a guess? I can only go so far back in the chat, so if you did venture a guess, put it in again, and I will. Kathy says half. Is that your guess, Kathy? 100 million? 100 million would be half. Ronald said 20%, which would mean 40 million. Kathy said 100 million. And let's go for one more. We'll see who's closest. Let me see. Laughs a Lot says 5%. So we got 5%, 20%, 50%. Okay, I'm going to give the answer in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Anybody else? 3, 2, 1. All right, here was the last one. We got 35 million. John says 75%. Georgia says 30%. Alicia Parker says 10%. Bam, that's it. That's it. That's all the guesses. All right, Nikki said 35. We'll let you squeeze in. Debbie King said 0. Well, I said whoever's closest, I guess, will be the winner. There are 1.2 million licensed weapons. 1.2 million. So that is what percentage of 200 million? That's a little over 0.5%. So Debbie, you said 0. Does that count? I mean, you say nobody? I guess it does. You were the closest. Laughs a Lot comes in second. If Laughs a Lot, if Debbie had made that guess a 0, you'd have been in there. So they can't do much, in other words. They can't do much, plus they're suspended, and there are like 4 separate types of investigations going up against the people. One major one is all the people that they corralled on the 8th. Their big day is J8th. And all the people. Another investigation is everybody who sent money, food, support like that to the people that were in the little camps they had set up, protest camps, kind of like when people sent money to the truckers. And then the police are being investigated. Lou Loser came out and said that there were many in the police departments that were not to be trusted and needed to be weeded out. Now, he said that about 4 or 5 days ago. And then the fourth thing is the Army. They're doing investigation with the Army as to who was supposedly supporting. And the charges, 3 main ones are, I think, mayhem, like vandalism and tearing things up, and then supporting what's the term they use? Supporting criminality or something like that. Of course, if they say wearing a MAGA hat is a criminal act, they could be getting all of us in trouble. And then there's posting stuff on the internet. You get in trouble for that. And all these charges have ungodly terms for like 30, 40 years. So there's a lot of people that people just don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if somebody's going to knock on their door or not. Because, the way it's worded, people got on Facebook and said, oh, I like Bolsonaro. I wish he would stay. I wish the Army would help. That'd be enough right there. And there's millions. I can't imagine them putting that many people in the joint. But a tyrannical government, you'd be surprised what they can do. Let's see, I'm just going through the chats. So anyway, everybody has taken notice, just like we have, that Trump says when I am inaugurated, not if. And the world is hearing about Joe and Hunter. And the other thing that has been put out on the floor of the House, and the media can't help, they have to report on it. They can't help but to report that there was no record keeping at Biden's home, which falls in line with the banner I put up when this scandal first broke. Let me see if I still got it, about what's going on in Delaware. And that is, there we go. I put nuclear, but Biden papers, classified docs. How about Delaware? There's supposedly no official list of who came, who went, while those documents were laying around. And the trick they're pulling is they say, oh, there were only at this location 5 documents, that's all. And we got 4 locations so far. And the last one, they said 5 pages. But the ones prior to that, they say 5 documents. Now, one document can be 1,000 pages. So that's how they trick everybody. Skiff. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Jeff. I was wondering, you can't have them outside the sci-fi. So what? But no, Skiff, you're right. What do we know about there being a skiff in that place? And who's keeping the records of who's coming in and out of that skiff? Do they even have a record of a skiff being installed in Delaware? That's a very serious matter. So anyway, I'm trying to see. Yeah, a 31-year-old. Yeah, I saw that. That's the other thing that I was in a chat and I discussed that because, as I said, nobody cares unless their ox is getting gored, right? And a lot of people were bemoaning. Michael says, 31-year-old American Idol star has gone on to his great reward all of a sudden. And that ties into what is happening with mainstream news is saying that they have to report that there's a correlation between strokes, heart attacks, and that thing they put in your shoulder. Now, I don't care how rabid an anti-Trumper you are. When you hear that, your antennas are going to go up. And you can't help but pay attention to more information. And I've been saying that since last year. People don't care unless it's their ox getting gored. Now, when they hear there's a correlation, a suspected correlation of blockages, strokes, and heart attacks, what are they going to do? They're going to worry because it's happening right before their eyes. What did I see on Twitter? Some guy put out on Twitter that he had a problem. Let me see if I got a screenshot of that. He had a problem. That is anybody else getting all these MAGA tweets in their feed that you didn't ask for, because that's what I'm getting, or something like that. So the truth is going to come out, and they're going to read it. I don't care if they get mad. Oh, that's somebody with a American eagle on their icon. Oh, that's somebody with a symbol like I got on the screen right now. When they read from the organization, the government organization that has a C in it, and the other part is DC, okay? Those 3 letters together. Centers for Disease Control, right? When they see documents come out from that, they can't deny it. And all of a sudden they realize that their ox might be getting gored, and they're going to pay attention to it. And I don't care how much Dr. Ouchie uh, gibbers and jabbers. The bottom line is they all dance to his tune. High search for truth. So that's what we're all on. Now, I'm going to jump back to that correlation between illnesses and how that is going to be something that pulls us together or creates an atmosphere where they have to investigate. But DJT put out a post that said, the White House just announced there are no logs or information of any kind on visitors to the Wilmington house and flimsy, unlocked, unsecured, and now very famous garage. Maybe they're smarter than we think. I don't know how many will keep up with this post or not. This is one of the seemingly many places where highly classified documents are stored in a big pile on a damp floor. Mar-a-Lago is a highly secured facility with security cameras all over the place and watched over by staff and our great Secret Service. And he ends up that post by saying, I have info. I have info on everyone. So how many of it is copies of the stuff they're trying to hide that they got out of Mar-a-Lago? I mean, you know that sensitive material, they're not just going to have one copy. That if Joe takes it to the garage, nobody can find it. Does Trump have copies of some of the stuff that Joe was trying to hide? Oh, he wasn't trying to hide it. He just didn't know, right? So any normal person, this is going to push the intrigue button. People are going to start wondering about this. Let me see what's going on in that chat. I don't think she's going to make it to President Kate. And Ronald said General Berger got rescued. I heard somebody said something about it that happening, that he was arrested, but I haven't heard anything from that. And, except those sites you go to where they're telling you how there's all these secret trials and executions and stuff like that. Maybe it's happening, maybe it's not, I don't know. But when you start getting into clones, you lose me, okay? So, anyway, that young fellow from Brazil put out his father is an attorney. And it seems that the army committed a war crime in Brazil when they talked to people that were told they would be safe on the bases. Then they said, look, get on these buses, and these buses are going to take you somewhere safe. And it turned out that the buses were there to arrest them and take them to a prison. That is a war crime. That's called perfidy, okay? Acting in a prohibition of perfidy. It is prohibited to kill, injure, or capture an adversary by resort to perfidy. And that word perfidy is by deceit or dishonesty. You got to be straight up with people. Acts inviting the confidence. This is Article 37, okay, of the International Laws of War. Acts inviting the confidence of an adversary to lead him or her to believe that he is entitled to or is obliged to accord protection under the rules of international law applicable in armed conflict with intent to betray that confidence shall constitute perfidy. The following acts are examples of perfidy. Just seeing if everybody's following me. I got to go off screen. The feigning of an intent to negotiate under a flag of truce or of surrender. So if you do that, you're committing a war crime. The feigning of an incapacitation by wounds or sickness. The feigning of civilian non-combatant status. And the feigning of protected status by the use of signs, emblems, uniforms of the United Nations or neutral or other states not parties to the conflict. So there are people keeping up with this that are writing down offenses, documenting offenses and individuals. And when it comes knocking on your door, like for the people in Brazil, when the real palpable fear is there, whenever you see a police car go by that they might be coming for you, you start to doubt. And there were some people in the chats, and I was one of them, that I maintain that this is an international military police action, okay? And a lot of things that are happening and has happened is to document crimes. And what happened on J8 is so similar to J6 that they even had their own shaman, the 17th letter shaman. They went that far. So that establishes a modus operandi. That establishes a method of operations that is shared. And you can prove that. If you prove that, man, are you really driving home that this is a criminal conspiracy? And then we're getting into brass tacks as to who was involved. Who was involved? To what level were they involved? So that is important. That person's father was an attorney and said, "Hey, what they did there was a crime." And there's some other tweets I saw. Here's a guy named Harry Sisson, Sisson. If y'all want to look him up, because he, if he's not a lonely soul, he probably is, but he's not over bright. And his opinion on the Biden situation versus Trump, he said Biden cooperated and didn't break any laws. Trump didn't cooperate and is being credibly accused of breaking multiple laws. Case closed. And he's had 13,200 views on this. So if you want to go by Harry Sisson's Twitter account and tell him whenever he finishes his walk down stupid street, then start tweeting. But right now he's on stupid street. So they're out there, and I just can't wait for them to start reading those headlines that I was discussing about talking like a news anchor 1 second and falling flat on your face the next. Is that going to make them wake up a little bit? Here's a guy named Victor Shi, SHI, Victor Shi. If you want to take a look at a psychological profile, kind of try to understand how these people's minds work. It's not complicated, he says. Donald Trump refused to follow the law. He failed to return classified documents when asked, and he obstructed justice by doing so. President Biden abides by the law. He and his team are cooperating, and unlike Trump, he will not be going to jail. So even the FAKE News has been reporting how Trump allowed the National Archives into into Mar-a-Lago multiple times. How they even gave advice on what kind of lock to put on the door. That all the documents were disclosed for 2 years, what they were. And this person is still in this dream world that Trump has not cooperated at all. So, when is the dam going to break? I think it's going to happen when this business of clots and unexpected end of life starts to become a real threat to them. That's why I think they have delayed the ouchie files. Okay, because all the stuff coming out would have overshadowed the ouchie files. That's right, Kate. They can't stop talking about Trump. And there's Red. He says he locked out Alice and Red Steptacker. Can only find him on Steptacker Rides Again. We can find you on Hello America, the fun channel, Red. They're trying to, Kate says they're trying to blame for the juice. Yeah, no, they had 3 different types come out after he left office. So anyway, I don't know how this platform or any of these other platforms that are controlled can keep that news away from the general public. Since it's going on, I think it was on NBC. One of those stations put out the report that there's a correlation. And look how crazy people went over toilet paper because they thought they were going to run out of toilet paper. Think about how crazy they're going to be when they say, wait a minute, I could keel over. My son could keel over, 15 years old, walking to school. So anyway, I got something about World War III, and I might do a separate video on that. The timeline for World War III, somebody wrote down. So let me see. And it starts, I don't quite agree with the start time, but let's see. It starts with back when Anthony is the first name and Weiner is the second name. You remember that name? Actually, it begins with Snowden, WikiLeaks. And it's pretty, what I might do is put the threads on where you can grab a screen grab and read them for yourselves, because they're pretty detailed. Some of it, most of it, I agree with. There are some little problems in there, but it discusses how a normal person could look at this situation and say, "Wait a minute, there's something going on here." And it starts out with Snowden as the first phase. It goes from Snowden to when Trump wins his first term and gets presented with the sword of Arabia, which signifies his dominion over Saudi Arabia. Okay? And then you start getting into Anthony's laptop. Okay? And we all know that there is a correlation between Anthony's laptop and what happened on J6. And that has to do with how many people decided in law enforcement, how many people decided they didn't want to live anymore. Two big things. I think there were 5 New York police officers that looked at Anthony's laptop. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you got to back the video up where it says his last name, because I'm not going to keep saying it. Don't put it in the chats, please. 5 of them decided they didn't want to live anymore after they supposedly found out what was the contents of that laptop. And the story is that 4 Capitol police officers are supposed to have been so traumatized by what happened on J6 that they decided they didn't want to live anymore. Now, that is going to, once people get their attention gets focused on the things I've discussed earlier, you start putting out dramas like that and possible answers. The world is going to be wanting to watch this story. The world, not just Americans. And even the 2 characters I read their tweets, they're just convinced Trump is guilty and Trump is a mean man. Even creepos like that are going to start waking up. Yeah, that's right, Nikki. We're the ones that are traumatized. You know, in a weird way, the ones that are awake are the ones who are the most disturbed and traumatized, because we see what's going on in a merciful kind of way. The ones who are asleep, they don't go through the upset that we go through, the stress and the frustration that we go through. And you think how many years we've been dealing with it. That's right, Kate. It's heartbreaking. But in a way, ignorance is bliss. But it's got to stop at some point. I said earlier today in the chat room, this is a choice between civilization and hell on earth. That's what we've gotten down to, civilization and hell on earth. And the real reason my video got deep sixed, I feel, was because I put that video up of the Miss Universe, and I said, look at those idiots applauding this person. And there were, the usual, and I'm not being misogynistic or all the other terms you can think of, but 9 times out of 10 is white liberal women standing up going, yay, and cheering this person that was born one way and decides there's something else taking over the Miss Universe. Now, the complaint came from United Kingdom. Okay, so I got somebody in the United Kingdom uh, claiming some right to just, well, we won't get into it, but there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground with people who are trying to create a society where they can say basically what the Boston Men's Choir said, or whatever their name was. These are not your children. That ties all the way back to Hillary Clinton saying it takes a village to raise a child. It's all been massaging everybody's brains into thinking that it's a collective thing. And if the fad of the time is going to be this business of asking a 6-year-old what they want to be, and that's lawful, you don't have a civilization. And that's just one of the problems we're going to have. One of the problems. So I think that's why I had a problem with that video yesterday. And I'm going to tell you something else I found out was these new Androids that are coming out. This is going to sound off topic, but it's not. They got new Androids coming out. You know how you crack your screen, you can go get a screen put on, you can do that, or your little plug where you plug in your phone doesn't work, you go get a new plug put in. Well, they made them now so you can't do that anymore. They're repair resistant or something like that. Once you get the case open, it's finished. You can't do anything with it. So you got to get the next version. And I'm just telling my listeners, hang on to your old devices because they can be repaired. And they can be put back in service. And they're bad enough for what they can do, how much information they can gather, acting like little sonar devices in your house. They can map a room out using micro pulsing. They can, your phone can be off and still videotape your room. Isn't that enough? So if you go get the next highest level, you have to get it because you can't fix the one you got. They purposely make it where it'll disintegrate or whatever happens to it when you try to repair something simple. And you got to step up another a degree of technology. Just remember what you got is how much more do they want? You want a back rub when you buy a phone? But the newer technology is doing a higher level of surveillance. It's doing a higher level of AI, and God knows what they're capable of. And I know that trying to keep the repairs and everything like that in-house is better for their business and all this stuff. But no, the bottom line is people want you to get the next generation of technology, hook or crook. So don't do it. Save your old devices. You know, even if you put them in a drawer, charge them up once every 3 months, cut them on and check them and go through your pictures. Or if it's got a cracked screen, go have it fixed and keep it. Because they've got laws that you have to be able to transfer your devices, and you can keep your number portable. And whatever level of technology they're at now, as far as I'm concerned, is plenty. And I'm thinking the only thing they can keep cramming into these phones is not going to be good for me. So, Jabney L7, make it legal. Oh, well, they probably would. I don't know if I want to say that out loud because it's got to do with animals, but they probably would. They probably would. Quantum phone, Kate says. Well, there are many times I say, I wish I had my flip phone and that was it. Let me put this back up. Big guy rent receipts. I want that to be my thumbnail. Because when you get audited, they want receipts. There's a quick charger with AI to fix the purposely put in program to make you buy phones more often. I agree with that. Yeah, they want you to buy the newest phone. And that's typical of business, but it's getting to the point where people are noticing. First, they said, well, I was talking with my friend on the phone, and I was talking about just say Home Depot. And when I cut my phone off, I went on a certain site. It was full of Home Depot ads. Do you think they're spying on me? Well, yes, they were. Voice recognition, and they can tell what you're discussing, and then they can target advertising. Yeah, that's true. But now it's gotten to the point where people are saying, you may have experienced yourself, it might be a coinky dink, or you might have had a friend tell you, I was thinking about something, I didn't say a word. I was just thinking about it, and it came up on my phone. Okay? So if that doesn't make your antennas go up, nothing will. So I don't need their next generation of anything. This is fine with me right here. Let me see what's going on. That's right, Donna. It's creepy. Debbie said, in your house, you can do that with animals. I don't know. Well, what state is that where they want to legalize that type of thing? Yeah, Michael. Michael said those quick chargers will burn your battery up. That's the other thing they started doing. I'll talk about that in another live stream. When you used to be able to pop the back of your phone open, take the battery, go get a new battery, and put it in, keep your phone. Now they've made it where you can't open your phone up without special tools or knowledge, and the battery is flexible and glued into the phone. So they're definitely making it. I'm reading some of these texts, but anyway, yeah, I think I'm about where I want to be with technology, and I don't trust them, and that's the end of that. I wouldn't be buying a new one. So anyway, later on this week, I'm going to try to have a guest. And I've discussed it in the past. Anyway, I haven't said the whole video. Like the video, please. That helps it get around. This video is creator supported and viewer supported only. I have a link for Buy Me a Coffee in the description if you want to help the channel out. It's greatly appreciated. I didn't say it the whole broadcast. My goodness. But anyway, if you all want to help out the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll be going live again soon. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be part of the chats or if you want to know when I go live. So I appreciate you all tuning in. You all have a great evening. This is Mountain Man, over and out.